Welcome everyone. Today, I'll be presenting an overview of interpersonal skills, facilitation skills. We will look into topics such as self-awareness, communication skills, life positions, management conflict styles, factors hampering interpersonal interactions, and Eric Berne and transactional analysis. I will be focusing on the importance of understanding the 3 ego states in people. Let us begin. Interpersonal and facilitation skills are essential for creating meaningful relationships and resolving workplace conflicts. Listening is paramount to comprehending other people's views. Constructive questioning is essential in deepening knowledge and demonstrating respect. Communication should be used effectively to ensure all aspects are grasped, and feedback should be encouraged to bridge the gap between words and actions. Resolving clashes in a productive way is a major contributor to establishing trust and appreciation in the workplace. Interpersonal competencies are essential for relationships and interactions with others to be successful. Gaining a good understanding of yourself and your own needs can aid in assessing and communicating with others. Having the capability to manage your own emotions and take responsibility for tough situations can also increase effectiveness when engaging with others. It is necessary to consider the needs, wants, and interests of the people around you in order to make sure everyone is valued and acknowledged. Communication skills and the capacity to actively listen are fundamental to comprehending each other and constructing good relationships. Having strong interpersonal skills is essential for successful communication. Conflict resolution requires the ability to be assertive while still respecting others' rights and feelings. Taking responsibility for our actions also contributes to a successful resolution. Resolving conflicts through 5 approaches: avoiding, accommodating, competing, collaborating, and compromising, helps create a successful outcome when properly utilized. Developing these approaches provides the skills necessary to effectively handle a wide range of difficult situations. Considering the attitude one has towards others and themselves is an important factor when examining interpersonal interactions. This attitude can be positive or negative and is known as a life position. Life positions consist of 4 categories: I'm okay, you're not okay, I'm okay, you're okay, I'm not okay, you're okay, and I'm not okay, you're not okay. Life positions can be used to recognize behavior patterns and gain an understanding of our relationships with others. It is important to be aware of how these life positions affect our relationships and how we can use them to create more meaningful connections. Conflict styles are an important element in interpersonal interactions. They can vary between assertive and aggressive to passive and accommodating, and also compromising and avoiding. Every style reflects a person's attempt to satisfy their own requirements and the requirements of the other person. Eric Berne's transactional analysis provides further insight into the conflict styles by separating them into 3 ego states: I'm okay, you're okay, I'm not okay, and you're not okay. It is critical to recognize these patterns and comprehend how to best address conflicts to preserve good relationships. Interpersonal interactions can be hindered by 4 primary factors: poor listening, emotional arousal, lack of time, and differences in objectives. Poor listening can stop individuals from grasping what the other person is communicating. Emotional arousal can make it difficult for individuals to express themselves clearly. Limited time can stop people from discussing matters in full. Furthermore, differences in objectives can lead to misunderstandings if not addressed. Eric Berne's transactional analysis is a unified system of individual and social psychiatry, providing a detailed model for understanding how and why people interact with one another. It examines how a person functions in relation to others, exploring the dynamics of interpersonal communication and highlighting strategies for improving relationships. This model allows us to gain insight into how people think, act, and interact with one another. Eric Berne, a theoretical psychologist, developed the concept of transactional analysis, which proposes that people possess three distinct ego states: the parent state, the adult state, and the child state. In each state, the individual's reactions and behaviors can vary considerably. The parent state is activated when a person's thoughts, emotions, and actions emulate those of their parents. The child state is when a person thinks and behaves like a child. Lastly, the adult state is when a person's ideas, emotions, and activities are direct results of current situations. Transactional analysis emphasizes the idea that a person can be in any of the three states and can transition between them. Humans are complex and unique individuals, each expressing their personality in distinct ways. Eric Berne's transactional analysis theory suggests that our interactions with others are based on three non-biological ego states: the parent, child, and adult. The parent ego state can lead to acting upon preconceived notions or behaviors seen in the past, while the child ego state may result in curiosity or the search for guidance from others. The adult ego state is rooted in fact and calls for a rational approach. Understanding these ego states can aid in the formation of strong interpersonal relationships and in the effective communication with others. Our ego is composed of three aspects that work together to form our individual personalities. The parent ego state is the part of us that follows conventions and regulations. The adult is the section where we make logical decisions, and the child is the realm where we exhibit our sentiments and instincts. When we become conscious of and recognize all three aspects of ourselves in any given circumstance, we can begin to take advantage of our full potential and achieve equilibrium in our lives. Eric Berne formulated the concept of transactional analysis, examining the parent-child ego states more deeply. The parent state has a controlling or nurturing aspect, while the child state is composed of a free child and an adapted child. The adapted child obeys others' demands and expectations, but the free child keeps to an unstructured, unsocialized model. Besides, the adult state is the current self, able to assume the roles of a parent or a child, and interact with the world. Transactional analysis is a method to comprehend the behavior in relationships between people. It is based on the premises of three separate ego states, which are parenting, adult, and child. The parenting ego state encompasses the critical parent and the sympathetic, nurturing parent, and the child ego state encompasses the natural child and the adapted child. Interactions between people are divided into three categories: complementary, crossed, and ulterior. Every type of transaction has its own impacts, and comprehension of the contrasts between them furnishes us with valuable insight into human relationships. Gaining an understanding of transactional analysis can assist us to more effectively cope with relationships in our lives. Complementary transactions are crucial for positive relationships. Such transactions involve expected and appropriate behavior that illustrate a strong connection between two people. Engaging in complementary transactions involves verbal exchange of communication where one party's stimulus is received and elicits a fitting response from the other. That response then serves as a stimulus for the next dialogue and interaction. Grasping the concept of transactions and their impact can be advantageous in strengthening interpersonal abilities. Transactional analysis was pioneered by Eric Berne and aims to examine the consequences of interactions between two people, and how the ego states of each person can shape the result. The most successful transaction occurs when one person assumes a nurturing parent ego state and the other takes up an adaptive child ego state, which can give rise to positive enhancement of both sides. Transactional analysis, a psychotherapeutic approach developed by Eric Berne in the 1950s, proposes that people have three ego states: commonly referred to as the leader, parent, adult, and child. In a leader-follower relationship, the leader seeks to accomplish a goal while the follower provides the required support to accomplish it. This connection can be enhanced through transactions that occur in different ego states. For instance, when the leader gives instructions, it can be complemented by a parent-like attitude from the follower. If the leader makes a suggestion, the follower may reply with an adult-like outlook. Lastly, when the leader offers encouragement, a childlike attitude is displayed by the follower. Thus, through these cooperative transactions, the leader and follower are able to realize the desired goal. When two people interact in a way in which messages sent by one person do not match their accepted roles, it is referred to as a cross-transaction. Such transactions often result in confusion and difficulty in social situations. An example of this would be if one person said, "Maybe, you should improve your study habits," while the other responded with, "You always find fault with me whatever I do." This is an example of a parent-child interaction, in which the roles of parent and child are accepted, but the two messages do not fit the agreed roles. When two people interact in terms of transactional analysis, it is possible to identify the ego states of each. A cross-transaction occurs when a leader is in the adult ego state but the subordinate responds from their free child ego state in a somewhat negative and rejecting way. Understanding the dynamics of such interactions can help both leader and subordinate to interact in a more beneficial way. Eric Berne developed the concept of transactional analysis to describe how people interact with each other. This concept includes 5 basic roles: leader, adult, parent, child, and follower. In this diagram, it is possible to see the different roles that people play in their interactions. For instance, a leader might interact with an adult, a parent with a child, and a follower with a parent. There are also various cross-transactions that can occur between these roles. Being aware of these transactions is key for successful interpersonal interactions. Transactional analysis is a method used to help people better understand and effectively communicate with each other. This slide focuses on ulterior transactions, a particular type of transactional analysis. Ulterior transactions requires the involvement of a supervisor and an employee, who rate 4 sets of behaviors on a scale of positive, comfortable, or avoidant. Identifying and properly addressing ulterior transactions can facilitate successful resolution of arising issues in interactions. Strokes are forms of communication that indicate how others view us. These can be of a positive, negative, or neutral nature. Positive strokes are complimentary and lift our spirits, while negative strokes are critical and can harm our emotional well-being. Neutral strokes don't evoke any emotional response, but can still be useful in providing information. To properly understand communication and cultivate interpersonal skills, it is important to understand the different forms of strokes. Having effective communication, motivation, and leadership are essential to any successful organization. To cultivate these components, it is essential to possess interpersonal and facilitation skills. By understanding the 3 ego states each person has, it allows us to interpret their communication more accurately and improve our own interpersonal skills, making sure our messaging is precise and straightforward. Additionally, this supports us in utilizing our facilitation skills to motivate and guide our teammates, which eventually leads to a more productive and successful team. Interpersonal skills are vital for creating successful relationships and effective communication. Listening to and engaging with others, establishing trust, and forming a cooperative team to reach shared objectives are all components of interpersonal skills. Having awareness of different communication styles, cultures, and life positions helps in dealing with conflict and having meaningful conversations, which eventually leads to better outcomes. Establishing positive relationships is important to not only our success, but also to our overall feelings of happiness. To do this, we must ensure that our words and behavior are reflective of our mutual respect and understanding. This requires us to make use of I statements to express our feelings without placing blame, listen actively to the other person, and be honest and not deceive them. We should also try to be aware of how others are feeling and show them empathy. Praising them for a job well done is also beneficial, but the praise should be both genuine and specific. Finally, it's important to keep the interactions within the appropriate amount of time, and not go overboard with the praise. Facing criticism can be challenging, but it can also be an opportunity for growth. Before responding to criticism, it is important to take stock of the situation and try to understand the reason why the criticism is being offered. This can involve empathizing with the individual providing the criticism to ensure any misunderstandings or tensions can be addressed. It is also important to remember that criticism should not be taken as a personal attack, but as a constructive way to improve. Furthermore, criticism should not be judged. It is valuable to consider all points of view before making a decision. Above all, it is important to not overload yourself when faced with criticism and to take time to consider all options. Negotiation requires 3 essential capabilities: problem solving, communication, and dispute settlement. To ensure fruitful dialogue, both sides must display honesty and clarity in terms of their interests and requirements. Devoting energy to acknowledging each other's perspective and likely solutions that accommodate both parties can lead to an arrangement mutually beneficial. Remember, negotiations entail more than just what you need. It's also about what the other party requires and prefers. Compassion and attentiveness are vital elements of successful negotiation. Planning the conversation and setting a goal is the first step in successful interpersonal interactions. Building a relationship with the other party should be done with an impersonal approach. Establishing a foundation of trust will allow for exchanging task-related information to get a better understanding and agreement. Persuasion can be used to reach an agreement that is satisfactory for all parties involved. Negotiation is an essential component in the business world. Comprehending the buyer-seller relationship, the diverse strategies and attitudes applied in negotiation, and taking advantage of silence as a tool are essential for successful negotiations. Location and time are also crucial elements to consider. Moreover, detecting when extreme behavior is being employed and understanding when promises or threats are being used are significant for an effective negotiation. Having a thorough understanding of the tactics and behavior of negotiation increases the chances of making the most of the negotiation.